welcome back to the Thrid Saturday in October, your SEC water cooler podcast for the rest of us. Find us online at thridsaturdayinoctober.com, on social media at TSIO Pod, and on Venmo at TSIO Pod. I am Bradley. I'm here with Jared. Jared, good week for Auburn fans, Tennessee fans, topsy-turvy for most everybody else.
I agree. And man, if you haven't fallen in love with college basketball this year, I don't know what's wrong with you because man, this has just been an epic season. I guess every year is an epic season. When it's your team who's doing well, makes it even more fun. So yeah, this has been a good SEC season, and I've had a blast watching it. It's been great. So obviously, I'm happy with the results of Auburn, but even that aside, it's just been, I mean, I'm sure we'll get to it, but just that Tennessee Alabama game, I mean, that was nuts.
I watched the game Saturday. Once it was over, I watched videos late into Saturday night, early Sunday morning.
Rightfully so. Yep.
Sunday, I'm watching videos all day of just the last sequence. Today, I've been watching it every time. It goosebumps, the hair stands up on the back of my neck. Like it's just anytime we beat Alabama, it doesn't matter if it's checkers or football, basketball, tiddlywinks. It doesn't matter.
It'd be the marching band. Yeah.
Hey, smoke them if you got them. So we're going to get into that because the first team we're going to talk about is Alabama. They absolutely hammered Mississippi State before losing to Tennessee at the buzzer. And I thought Tennessee really was going to be praying for overtime because Alabama, with under 4 seconds to go, has the ball under their own goal. All they have to do is make a shot and it's over. And they called a 5-second violation,
which was great defense by the Vols. Yep.
Yeah. I've tried counting it out. I don't know where they got it, but hey, the refs were right. That's all I'm gonna say. The refs were right.
Well, they were right. That's what happened. So.
I don't know what it is about putting time back on the clock against Alabama. But it, kick six, they put 2 seconds on the clock. Here they put just enough time on the clock that now Tennessee has a chance to inbound the ball. They get it to their worst shooter on the floor.
Well, he was open and they had to throw it to somebody. So yeah.
Who's a fantastic defensive player.
But he was playing super well leading up to that play. So
making shots, making free throws.
Yeah, he was giving his heart all. I mean, he was the reason they were in that game at the very end. I mean, he was killing it. So what's his name? Last name Meshach or Mishak?
Jemai Meshach.
Meshach.
Yeah.
Wow, I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, he's one of Tennessee's best, if not the best, defensive player.
Well, he's obviously a leader on the team too. I mean, that was clear.
Yeah, he's the vocal leader. Zakai's like, I kind of defer to him for words of wisdom and kind of motivating the guys. But I feel great for Meshach. What a shot!
Unbelievable. You and I were watching it live and texted back and forth, and I just assumed it was going to go into overtime. And man, he just took that thing up the court and just shot it from probably 5 feet behind the 3-point line. And it
halfway between half court and the 3-point line.
I mean, not an obvious shot that would go in, and it went in, and that place went bananas. And even I was like, "Holy crap!" I'm not even a Tennessee fan, but I was freaking out. I was like, "Oh, this is what a shot, you know. And then
Yeah,
it would be,
I'm
okay,
surprised.
now Alabama's lost. Auburn, then Auburn's winning the SEC championship and not sharing it with anyone. There was a lot of really positive things that came from that, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, in 700 people over capacity. I'm surprised that the fire marshal didn't shut down the game.
packed
Um,
arena, yeah,
and then
loud, super loud, yeah.
and then a tweet from your head coach that simply said VFL and War Eagle. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I think
That seemed like a classy thing, I thought.
he is a classy coach, and that's what I love about him is um, every post game interview, um, e- every if they talk to him at halftime, in anytime somebody's talking to him, just a classy guy, and that's what makes it hurt all the more when he couldn't be retained at Tennessee. Um,
Man,
but
get it.
so another cool fact before,
Barnes is your guy, and man, wow, he yeah,
yeah,
what a great job he's done, and that was a massive win for Tennessee. So such a good game.
yeah,
Yeah,
and what I learned before the game, so Dick Vitale was there to help call the game, and uh, before the game started, there was video of him going in to talk to Coach Barnes, and Coach Barnes says, "Hey, I got something for you." The players got together,
yeah,
and the coaches, and the players and coaches all together donated $10,000.
yeah. And those players are giving their NIL money toward that, so that's a big
Yeah,
deal, you know.
yeah, that was pretty awesome that they did that. Um, so sorry, Chris Murphy, but I'm not
I'm
really
not.
that sorry. So Alabama goes 1-1 this week. Arkansas, uh, they beat Texas to keep their bubble dreams alive, and then lost to last place by 19.
I'm still working my
Arkansas,
head around that. That was weird.
Arkansas only had 14 points in the first half.
They should have been able to handle that game. South Carolina, yeah. What happened?
So
Huh.
I don't know. I thought they were putting
They
it
they got
together,
beat by
but
like almost 20 points. It was terrible. It was like,
it was really awful.
yeah,
Um,
they got smoked.
but then your Tigers, 2-0. Um, they took care of Ole Miss. And then first win at Kentucky since '88, I
Yeah,
believe.
there were some things that bothered me about that game, Bradley. It's just ESPN they had technical difficulties. I don't even know what happened, but the pretty much the whole half of the second half we couldn't even watch. And
Yeah.
literally, Auburn fans were watching a webcam from like a two guys doing like a radio um, call, play by play, and they just happened to have like a webcam, and they turned it to the court, and that was the only way you could watch the game was was watching it on YouTube uh,
Yeah.
from this webcam because ESPN had technical difficulties, and the reason I was frustrated by that, Bradley, is if that had been Duke, that would have never happened. You know what I
Right.
mean? That'd been one of
Yeah.
these NCAA darlings like a UConn or something. Like that would have never happened. Why did that happen to Auburn? You
And
know,
done,
it's just
and
lame.
yeah, I mean you've got backup feeds and stuff for that. So I don't know.
Apparently they didn't for that game. That just drives me nuts. It's like, okay, that was them winning in Rupp Arena, which they haven't done in eight since '88, and now in retrospect, that was them winning the SEC regular season championships. It's like that's terrible that happened. Like
Yeah.
unacceptable, but whatever.
That yeah, that there's nothing worse than trying to watch your team and the feed goes out.
I was
You know, it,
literally listening to these two guys do play by play and watching on a webcam. I thought that was like, you know what? I'll take it.
yeah, I mean
That's
it's
yeah,
absolutely head scratching.
yeah. But
But
that
but
if
I'll
that was Duke, that would not have happened. I guarantee it.
no.
So
But I'll tell you what else is head scratching. Florida losing in Athens to Georgia.
I, I don't know how that happened, and I got to give credit to Georgia because Florida is still a top five team. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're nobody's pretending they're not. I don't know how that happened. And of course, they took their angst out on Texas A&M and beat them by almost 20 points.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Florida's not going away, but that was a surprise. I couldn't believe Georgia got that victory, so good for them.
Yeah. I mean, I, I don't know what this means for. I know I don't want to play Florida going forward because they're going to be mad these next few games.
They're not they're not a guaranteed win, dude. They are a very tough team, and somebody's going to get them. It's going to be Auburn, Tennessee. Somebody's going to have to play them, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be an easy game. It's and I don't know if they're now still considered a one seed in the NCAA tournament. I think maybe Tennessee may have trumped them there.
So a
But
lot of the
yeah,
talk going into the game against Alabama was this is a game for a number one seed. Winner of this likely gets a
well,
one seed because they both can't have it.
I'd say well deserved because that was a heck of a win. So
Yeah. Um, Georgia, heck of a week, 2 and
yeah,
0, beating the Gators and then beating Texas.
is
I don't know if
Georgia a
Georgia's had a
bubble
2 and 0
team?
week.
Could they be in the tournament? Because they've had a lot of losses. I wasn't sure about that. So
I mean, I think Georgia, Arkansas, um, Vanderbilt had a good week.
yeah,
But I think some of those um you're gonna be I think those are some bubble teams from what I'm hearing.
I think even if Georgia wins out, I'm not sure if it's enough. Maybe they beat St. John's. St. John's is top 10 team.
Yeah, I think St. John's is now number 6.
Yeah, and Georgia beat them. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe they can sneak it in, but it's
You got St. John's, which would be a quad one win. You've got Florida. Um,
they
you got
they had beaten Kentucky at one point. Yeah, so
yeah,
they've got some decent victories.
yeah. We'll have to see. And these three teams that we're talking about, Georgia, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, what they do in the tournament in a couple weeks will also determine what happens for the March tournament as
Man,
well. So
I don't know. I'm not predicting Bulldogs to make the tournament. I just sense something's going to not go their way.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if they've had a 2 and 0 week so far in conference play, so
Yeah,
it's hard to come by.
they've had a lot of L's. Uh, anyway, yeah.
Um, Kentucky slid past Oklahoma and then had technical difficulties against number one Auburn. Um, that I mean, this is kind of what they've been like all season is a lot of 1-1 weeks where I mean playing Auburn I was expecting Auburn to win but I Kentucky's just not as strong as they have been after kind of the head scratching Calipari move to Arkansas.
But I'm willing to bet on Kentucky against a number of schools that are out of conference. So Kentucky could have a decent run in the tournament, and they
Yeah.
will be the tournament.
Yeah.
So they could be a Sweet 16. I don't know if you want to put them beyond that, but they could be that.
Yeah.
Um,
It and really it depends on who they match up against.
yeah,
Um, LSU, oh, poor LSU. 0-2. They
yeah,
played Tennessee
not their
close.
year. Yeah,
Yeah. They played Tennessee close and then lost to Mississippi State by 12. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
LSU's
I
got
think they're cheering on their women's team
yeah,
instead.
they've got some good women's basketball, but the men's team is lacking. So
Yeah. Uh, Ole Miss 1-1. They're just not in the same league as Auburn. Um,
yeah, and that's so
yeah,
weird because Ole Miss is still ranked. I think
yeah,
they're ranked. What are they ranked? I think they're ranked.
I think they are. I have to remember
I'm wrong.
what those rankings were. Um,
Maybe they're not ranked. Maybe I made that up. Okay. Well,
but
they've been ranked off and on throughout the season. I don't know if they're currently ranked, but they've got Tennessee and they've got Florida. So if they were to sneak one over on one of them, that might be, that might put them back in the rankings for sure. I would assume. But Ole
yeah,
Miss will be in the tournament. I'm pretty sure they're going to make the tournament. So
so it looks like Ole Miss has dropped out of the rankings.
okay, well that
Um,
seems fair coming off. Well, they did beat Oklahoma, but they did have a nasty loss to Auburn. So
yeah, they've had a couple bad weeks
yeah, they had
here
like
recently.
three losses in a row. They lost to Mississippi State, Vandy, Auburn.
Yeah,
Uh,
their
so
in-state rival though, Mississippi State, still in the top 25.
that
Um,
that's wild because Mississippi State is they're hit and miss too. But
yeah, they lost to Tennessee, but then handled LSU, which they should.
who
Um,
hadn't? At
right?
this point,
Uh, it, Missouri, Missouri's kind of a head scratching team too, uh, because they just delivered a drumming to South Carolina, before falling to Vanderbilt.
well, they had a victory over Alabama, not too long ago too. So they are a good. They can be a very good team. So don't sleep on them.
Yeah, yeah,
In
they
fact,
they
I would even say if you put Missouri up against like a Kansas or somebody like that, I bet they win. So
yeah. I mean, Missouri has played Tennessee hard this year, and Vanderbilt's still a good team. Um,
mm.
I I think they're kind of still flirting there with the top 25, out of it at the moment, but they had a they had a good week. We'll get there towards the end. Um, but Missouri just kind of up and down. Um,
Missouri's going to make the tournament, and
yeah,
Missouri's going to probably beat somebody they shouldn't. I think they'll get overlooked and they'll get a good win.
yeah. Um, Oklahoma's not getting a good win this last week. 0
I
and
don't think
2.
Oklahoma makes the tournament. I know they're a bubble
No.
team. I don't think they do. So
No, welcome to the SEC for one. They
yeah,
they nearly had Kentucky. Like it was close.
yeah, that
Um,
was
and
one.
then they nearly had Ole Miss.
Those are two tough losses for sure.
Yeah, but this isn't horseshoes or hand grenades. So, um,
No, thank goodness.
uh,
There's
Stout,
some Oklahoma people that probably would confuse the two. So yeah,
yeah, South Carolina got its second conference win though.
we
Um,
did.
they
Yeah,
they they didn't have enough firepower to keep up with Missouri. Um, but they did get a win against Arkansas, which I was not expecting. I thought Arkansas was was going to be 2-0 this week, and they ended up being 1-1.
yeah. I can't believe. And South Carolina like whooped on Arkansas. So it's like,
Yeah.
where has this South Carolina team been all season? What the heck?
Yeah, I think South Carolina let their women play, because that I'd expect them to beat Arkansas, but not the guys.
That was a good one. Yeah. I,
Um,
South Carolina, when you watched them play Arkansas, you thought this is a good South Carolina team. And the record doesn't, demonstrate that, but they have the ability to be a good team.
yeah, I mean they were they 10-2 or something going into conference play? I mean,
And
they
then
had a
and
good
then just
record.
and it was just bombs away, dude. They couldn't get a win to save their life,
No,
which is
they really could.
heartbreaking for them because um, we know they're better than their record says, but it is
Yeah,
what it is. So
it is. Yeah, just tough sledding. Um, Tennessee, we've already talked about.
thank
They
God. So it's just such an epic win and
Yeah,
a huge weekend for Tennessee fans and then your baseball team's doing good too, which I'm sure we'll talk about at some point. But yeah, it's a good time to be a Tennessee fan. It seems like so.
it really is.
What a win! My gosh, yeah.
And what's great is little little UT down in Austin, 0-2 this week.
Yeah,
Losing to Arkansas and then losing to Georgia.
I,
Georgia
I
just
gotta
has
I gotta
Texas.
suspect Texas is they're gonna do some revamping of their basketball program. They're not gonna want to be the whipping boys of the SEC.
Well,
So
they're Georgia's whipping boys this year.
true.
Losing to them twice in football. Again here in basketball. Uh, I think the Longhorns have had enough of the Bulldogs for a while.
Yeah, yeah, and I suspect that because there's a lot of money in Texas. Texas,
Whole lot of money.
their school has the ability to make some changes. So I would imagine their basketball team is going to probably see some adjustments, and they're not going to be down long.
Um,
Yes.
it- well, speaking of adjustments, A&M needs to make some adjustments. They've lost four in a row.
Well, and they got Auburn coming up tomorrow night, so that's in College Station. You know, that'd be a really good chance for Texas A&M to show out. With Auburn kind of being like, well, we've won the SEC, we can be relaxed now. Hopefully, that's not the approach they'll take. And with Bruce Pearl, I don't think he'll
Yeah, no,
allow.
no. Yeah, Bruce Pearl.
Uh,
Bruce Pearl
but
doesn't take
but
nights off.
you know, I could see where Texas A&M could sneak one on Auburn if Auburn's not on top of their game. So
Yeah. This is where you want to keep momentum rolling. Um, if you're Auburn, because you can never have too much momentum.
right.
Um, but yeah, it's
But
going to be
that
tough.
would be a massive win for A&M if they could make that happen. But you're right. I don't think Auburn's going to allow that. So
And then look at Vanderbilt, 2-0, taking advantage of A&M, and then took care of Missouri. Um, Great job down there at West End and Natchez Trace,
absolutely. And
taking care of business.
they've got two games here at the end of the season that are very winnable. So I think you see Vanderbilt in the NCAA tournament. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
So games tonight. We got Georgia at South Carolina. Um, I see Georgia winning that. LSU at Kentucky. I think Kentucky rebounds there.
yeah, I'm not giving anything to LSU right now. So yeah,
Um, Texas at Mississippi State.
that's a toss up maybe at Mississippi State just because they're ranked, but who
Well,
knows?
yeah. Texas doesn't like Bulldogs, so I'm going with Mississippi State. Um, Auburn at Texas A&M. The I'm gonna be paying attention to this one because
Yeah,
as you said, Auburn has the SEC regular season wrapped up. Um, A&M is just desperate for a win. So what happens
right.
there in College Station? We'll
My
see.
guess is Auburn's not going to let off the gas, and they're going to still play lights out. But
I agree.
this would be a game where they could get caught sleeping if they're not on top of it. So
Yeah, and then Arkansas and at Vanderbilt. Um,
yeah, I'm
I
picking
think I think Vanderbilt wins this one.
Arkansas needs that though to if they're on the bubble. So
Yeah, Arkansas I think is more desperate, but
especially after that loss to South Carolina, maybe we see Arkansas, come back and you
if
know
that game's in Fayetteville, I think Arkansas
where
pulls
is
it
that
out.
game? Do we know?
It's in Nashville.
Uh okay.
So Memorial Gym is weird. It's
It
just
is
weird.
weird. It is weird.
And I love it. Um,
I can't say I love it, but yeah, it is weird.
and then Wednesday,
That's
Tennessee
gonna be
at
a
Ole
good game.
Miss.
I bet that game will be really good. Arkansas and Vandy.
I do too. I'm gonna be paying attention to that one. Tennessee at Ole Miss on Wednesday. Florida at Alabama. That's gonna be a good one.
Alabama,
Um,
man, they got Florida, then they've got Auburn. Like that's the last two games of their regular season. Can you
yeah,
imagine? That's a stacked. They just lost to Tennessee in a heartbreaker. Now you got to play Florida, then you got to play Auburn.
it wasn't that heartbreaking. I loved it.
It wasn't
Um,
heartbreaking for Tennessee, but other than that, if you're a Atlanta fan, that was crushing. That
oh yeah.
was devastating because now you see your cross-state rivals Auburn win the SEC championship, and you lost to Tennessee, who's a massive rival.
Yeah.
Uh, Yeah, and now you got to play Florida, and then you got to play Auburn this Saturday. So that's a rough go for
Yeah.
Alabama. But
By the
Alabama's a
way,
good team, so they could very easily solve this problem and win out. So
yeah. By the way, Dixieland Delight was played in Thompson Bowling Arena, Food City Center.
as far as I know, it's still being played. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they just kept it on repeat for the week. So,
And the final midweek game is Missouri at Oklahoma. Um,
yeah, no, I don't think
I,
many people care about that one. Likely Missouri handles business there. So
yeah. Um, Saturday, uh, we got Kentucky at Missouri. That should be interesting.
yeah,
Um,
that'll be a good one. In fact, I'm not even sure who to pick on that one. That's a toss up. If Missouri's hot, they'll win.
yeah, and it's at Missouri.
Oh,
Uh,
especially in Missouri. Yeah.
I'll give them the edge. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Ooh,
I mean, Arkansas needs that one. So
they do.
let's see how they handle it.
Vanderbilt at Georgia.
I'm picking
Um,
Andy. Yeah.
both teams been hot this last week. Um, the Iron Court. What are they? I don't know what they're calling it. Alabama at Auburn. Um, I
Man,
you better
don't
believe that Auburn's
underestimate
going to be up
Auburn.
for that one.
Yeah, of course Auburn's gonna be that's an Auburn home game against Alabama. That you don't have to do anything other than that. That's they're gonna be playing that both teams are gonna be playing their absolute best in that game. That's gonna be a good game. So
Yeah. South Carolina at Tennessee. I sure hope that's not a good game.
uh,
Um,
well, it'll be a good game for Tennessee.
yeah, get some reserves sometime.
Yeah.
A&M at LSU. I mean,
You know what? Let's
A&M.
talk about that for a second. At what point do you say, okay, this game kind of doesn't matter. Let's just let the reserves have their moment? Like, do you do that? Like, how much of that do you do? Because it's not exactly like football where you could be like, okay, for the second half, we can let some of these other guys play.
Yeah,
Basketball's a little bit different.
yeah. I think you've got to get 5, maybe 10 minutes into the second half before you're really rotating heavy. I mean, you can kind of get one or two in there, but before you've got, you know, all bench players on the floor, um, you've got to really have it in hand towards the end of the game. Um, but I think it's really score dependent, um, and game flow dependent. And as you
I mean, I
work them
love the
in,
idea of these guys getting the opportunity, to go out there and make things happen. But this is still a really important matchup for Tennessee.
yeah,
So if they're saying, "Hey, we got to win this to, lock in our number one seed," how much do these guys actually get a chance? I don't know.
yeah.
So
And I mean, Tennessee only has so many players. They've been playing with 9 for most of the season. So, but I do think it's also important to let some of those guys who've had long minutes, like Zakai Ziegler, get a little bit of a break because it's about to get really busy, really fast. Um, and you know, A&M at LSU. A&M really needs a couple wins here at the end of the season. Ole Miss at Florida. It I think that's Florida's game there. And then uh the Red River rivalry indoors. Oklahoma at Texas to finish off
the big who cares the
Saturday night.
SEC.
Yeah. Yeah, the wah wah. The Red River wah wah.
Somebody's
Um
got to win it, and I'm going to guess it's Oklahoma. So,
yeah, just
uh,
because. Um but that's basketball up until the SEC tournament.
wow. And yeah, the SEC tournament's right around the corner. And what a season. My goodness.
Yeah. Hey, so I'm interested to see how this tournament shakes out. It's going to be just brutal, absolutely brutal, um, especially towards the end.
You're
Uh,
right. It will be.
but I can't wait.
No, it's going to be good, and things are going to happen that you and I can't predict.
Yeah,
That's pretty much guaranteed. So
yeah. Um, so that's basketball. Uh, Time for a little BaseVols news. So this last weekend, well, let me back up. Tennessee played University of North Alabama on Tuesday. Um, Won that one. Then went down to Houston for the Astros Foundation. I think it's called the College Classic, but um, there were three SEC teams because it was Tennessee, A&M. I'm trying to think who the third one was. Maybe Mississippi State. Um, A&M had been number one in a lot of the rankings and went 1-2 in this tournament and has now fallen as far as 14 in some polls. I'm seeing them like 10, 11 to 14. Um, Tennessee seeing some of their best competition so far. Number 16, Oklahoma State won that one. Then played Rice, won that one. And then played number 24, Arizona, for the with the championship on the line, and they won that one. So they're now sitting at 11-0 and looking very, very impressive. Number one in most of the polls. I think the D1 baseball poll they have number two. Um,
yeah, we know
but
they're past. So
that they're they're getting some great production. Uh, Gavin Keelan, Jr. is hitting 486, um, with seven home runs already. 7 home runs in 11 games. He's the SEC Player of the Week.
hopefully so.
Um,
Yeah.
Tennessee's had 4 Grand Slams. They're on pace to beat their school record, I believe. Um, but I mean, they got several guys hitting well over 300, um, and getting some uh, good play from young guys too. Um, I
Yeah.
know I've said this. They only had uh, two returning position players, so that's been good to see. And as far as pitching, the three pitchers that have double digit innings pitched have ERAs of 0.61, 0.75, and 1.35.
Okay. Wow.
It's that like they're off to a great start. Um, and uh, I mean they're Liam Doyle has the 0.61 ERA and 34-3 strikeouts to walks ratio, which is just phenomenal. Are you going to carry that all the way through SEC play that starts next week or the week after? No, but really looking sharp. Um, I mean, the pitching is looking really, really good. Been really, really excited about the way the team played against ranked opponents. Um, so um, got got a few games coming up that I'm trying to remember who's next on the schedule, but um,
Looks like
I'm getting excited.
on Tuesday they're playing Radford, I think it is.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Um, So I'm going to pull up their schedule because I also want to know when exactly SEC play starts. Um, and
Yeah,
the way
it's
it
not
works,
I
if
don't
you're
think
not
it's until
go-
April, but I might be wrong.
um,
See?
if you don't follow college baseball closely, the way it works is generally you play conference opponents on the weekends, 3 game series, and then you have a non-conference opponent the middle of the week, just on Tuesday or Wednesday. Um, so it's fun because you kind of mix it up, and a lot of times those teams are uh, lesser opponents. But um, where here we go. I'm just waiting for my internet. What the heck? Um,
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up myself. So, yeah, they
you
got
know,
Xavier. They've got St. Bonaventure. So there's a couple games there. Let's see.
yeah, Radford, Xavier, St. Bon this weekend. Um, then West Georgia on March 11th, Tuesday, March 11th.
And then they got Florida March 14th. So coming up mid March.
Yeah. Um, Florida's pretty good. Then we got ETSU. Alabama is pretty good. Really good. Queens, South Carolina. Oh, we've got Tech. We play Texas A&M this year. Luckily in Knoxville. Um, but it we've got LSU who's really good this year as well in Baton Rouge. Um, got a series with Auburn in Knoxville. Van,
Auburn just had a nice win over Oregon State. Auburn, I think, has a decent baseball team. I'm not saying they're better than Tennessee, but
no, there's a lot of good baseball in
yeah,
the SEC, especially the last couple years. Vanderbilt's usually really good. Arkansas is usually really good. Um, so the SEC schedule is not going to be just a cakewalk for Tennessee. Um,
no,
so
but I'm loving these games, man. We got some really good games that we're going to be able to watch over the next 2 months. So,
yeah, and my oldest is playing baseball, and he was he and his buddies were taking batting practice, and so I was just kind of fielding ground balls, and man, I miss it. I I'm
you're,
probably
you're,
I'm
you're
kind
reliving
of
your
hurt.
glory days.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He's like, Dad, did you ever play baseball? I was like, yeah. You want to see a picture? Yeah.
And then
Whoa.
you showed him the movie The Natural.
Oh yeah, yeah. I need to show him the rookie.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
Um, yeah. Uh, maybe not the Sandlot. The Sandlot's one of those. It's always like, oh yeah, we'll show it at a church youth group event, and then forget until it happens that there's ton of foul language in it. It's like, oh
That's
no,
Sandlot's still a good movie, foul language or not. I love that movie.
it is fantastic.
Yeah, that should be every Fourth of July movie. Just bust that out,
Oh yeah,
do the right thing, and watch it. Yep.
you know, uh, kind of last week of August, you need to watch Remember the Titans. Just to get into football season.
Yeah.
Come November, you need to watch Hoosiers.
Yeah. With Gene
Uh,
Hackman just passing away, by the way, so it's
yeah.
time,
Um,
time to dust off Hoosiers if you haven't watched it this season. So
yeah. I couldn't believe it when I heard that news the other day, and I couldn't believe that. I think he was 95. Uh,
well, it didn't make any sense. I still don't know what happened there, but yeah, that's a weird story. But
yeah,
Hoosiers, I love Gene Hackman in almost all his films, but Hoosiers for me is number one. It'll always be number one.
yeah,
That's just such a fantastic basketball movie. That's my favorite basketball movie. So
yeah. And then come 4th of July, you got to watch The Sandlot.
I watch Sandlot. Yeah, that's Fourth of July every year. Yeah,
Yeah.
good
So,
choice. Yeah.
um, good time to be on Rocky Top. Uh,
Man,
good time to
absolutely.
be down on the plains as well.
Wow. What a fantastic Saturday. That was a fun Saturday. And yeah, I feel like there was a lot of healing on that Saturday.
Well,
The football season. So
yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Hopefully there's a lot of healing this upcoming Saturday as well. Because
yeah.
who doesn't love beating Alabama, especially when they're good?
Well, my guess is that's going to be a battle, but it is at home, and I expect Auburn to represent and to win that game. But you never know. Uh,
I
but it
I
will
do
be
too.
fun to watch. I will be watching it. So
I think most of the college basketball world will be watching.
yeah,
So uh, you better be watching along with us. And
absolutely.
if you want to reach out, you can find us at Third Saturday in October.com, on social media at TSIO Pod, on the Venmo at TSIO Pod. Uh, as I like to say, heroes come in all sizes. Roll Vols. And Jared, it's well deserved. Go ahead, sir.
War Eagle from your number one Auburn Tigers in basketball and your SEC champions regular season. So thank you, Bradley.
Congratulations.
Tailgate, man cave, living